heard the FBI director yesterday testifying that he's much more concerned about a foreign terrorist attack happening in America now than he has been in a long time. And for good reason. Because of what's going on around the world and what's going on at our southern border. If I wanted to come into this country illegally, I know where I'd go. You know, El Paso, Texas. There are too many opportunities for bad people to get into this country. But don't just fall for a candidate saying to you, I'm going to strengthen the border and I'm going to send the army into Mexico. I mean, seriously, do we really think that President Ron DeSantis would actually send the American army and invade Mexico, our largest trading partner? I don't think so. But it sounds tough. And so does, I'll shoot him stone cold dead at the border. This sounds very much to me like the guy who 8 years ago stood up here and said, I'm going to build a big, beautiful wall across the entire border of Mexico, and Mexico's going to pay for it. Now, we know that he got 52 miles of new wall in 4 years, which means he'd only need another 110 years as president to finish the whole wall. But what we also know is the hypocrisy of Donald Trump. He stood behind a podium last week and said, you'd have to be dumb to think he was actually going to get Mexico to pay for the wall. Now look, I know there are a lot of people in this country who have short memories, but people in New Hampshire are not one of them. You know how many times he came up here, because I was here, running against him. You know how many times he came up here 8 years ago and promised you, swore to you that he was such a great businessman that he was going to get Mexico to pay for the wall. Now he's telling every one of the people of New Hampshire who believed him that you had to have been dumb to believe that. What it tells you is he'll say anything. He'll do anything to try to fool you when you walk into the voting booth. And then after that, he could care less whether you like what he does or not, whether what he does is consistent with what he promised you or not. And so these TV tough guys, I call it DeSantis and Trump, they're TV tough guys. But in their real lives, they've never done anything. Never done anything that's tough. Now, I was a prosecutor for 7 years, ran the 5th largest office in the country in a place like New Jersey where we're predominantly known for our criminals, both violent and political. I remember going to Iowa 8 years ago and having a woman actually legitimately ask me at a town hall meeting if I knew Tony Soprano. And she didn't mean the actor. She meant the real Tony Soprano. So I've done tough things. And I was nominated to be U.S. Attorney in New Jersey on September 10th, 2001 by George W. Bush. And the next day, one of those airplanes took off out of New Jersey and flew into the World Trade Center. You know, in the end, when that becomes your responsibility to be a part of that investigation, and then ultimately to stop 2 other terrorist attacks while I was U.S. Attorney, a missile attack on airplanes, and a proposed attack on Fort Dix on our military base in New Jersey.